Before beginning an inspection, it is necessary to fully understand the Indoor Clean Air Act. Oregon's Indoor Clean Air Act protects nearly every Oregonian from the health risks of secondhand smoke in public areas and in the workplace. It is very important to have a complete understanding of the intent of the law in order to enforce the law. The Indoor Clean Air Act's primary goal is to protect individuals from being exposed to secondhand smoke and vapor. This is done by prohibiting smoking indoors, regulation of outdoor smoking areas, having proper signs posted, and correct placement of ash receptacles, along with education of business owners and workers on how to be in compliance. The Oregon Health Authority is required to enforce the Indoor Clean Air Act. OHA maintains delegation agreements with local public health authorities throughout Oregon to carry out educational and remediation activities with businesses. As an inspector at a local public health authority, you are working with businesses on behalf of the Oregon Health Authority. The Indoor Clean Air Act is a complaint-driven law and relies on the public to report issues that they may encounter in the community. Complaints can be made in person, by phone, letter, or the online reporting system. When a complaint has been reported, it will be logged into the state database that tracks ICAA violations called the Workplace Exposure Monitoring System, or WEMS. The complaint will show up in the appropriate county's action items under unverified complaints in WEMS. When a complaint is filed in WEMS, the first thing that must be done is to match the complaint with the correct business. This can be done by selecting the complaint and searching the name. WEMS will give you options in your county to help you find the business. However, it's important to fully search for existing businesses before creating a new one to ensure that businesses are not duplicated, as this could cause a problem later in the enforcement process. Select the business to match with the business already in the system. If the business is not in the system, create a new business for the complaint. Next, mark if the complaint is actionable. If yes, select the nature of the complaint from the drop-down menu. This information is found in the complaint itself and should be listed. If the complaint is not actionable, use the drop-down menu to select the reason. An actionable complaint is one that specifically states a potential violation of the ICAA, such as customers smoke 5 feet away from the entrance, and the patio is completely enclosed and people smoke inside. Complaints such as, I smelled smoke when I walked out of the building, or there was drifting smoke in the walkway, are not actionable complaints as they do not indicate a violation of the ICAA. Exempt businesses follow a special set of rules, and the state allows smoking to occur inside. These businesses are certified by OHA. Find out if there are any of these businesses operating in your county and consult the manual for guidance for conducting inspections at these establishments. A business may be under a grace period if multiple complaints of the same business have been submitted in a short period of time, or if the business is currently in the investigation process for violations of the ICAA. On the last page, confirm that all the information entered is correct and select Next. Going back to the action items, you will see that the complaint has automatically been moved to the Complaint Response Letter Due, Initial Response Letter Due, or Site Visit Due. Select the appropriate complaint and follow the prompts. The complaint response letter and initial response letters are auto-populated with the business's information and the complaint classification. Fill in the correct county and contact information, save, and upload the letter to WEMS. Be sure to mail 1 copy to the business's physical location and 1 copy to the corporate address. Information about how to do this is in the Policies and Procedures Manual. In addition, remember to keep a copy in your files. These letters are important because they act as a written documentation that a business was notified that a complaint was registered at the establishment, and that information on how to comply with the law was provided. If the complaint moves to a citation, a business may request a court appearance, and all documentation needs to be accurate and complete as it may be used in a court of law. If the complainant did not provide contact information, you do not need to create a complainant response letter. If a site visit is due, it is important to look at the full history of the business because different forms are used to conduct different types of site visits. In early 2018, OHA began reviewing all potential outside enclosed areas. This change requires inspectors to carry and use additional forms and to modify the process of entering a site visit date in WEMS. The presence of a potential outside enclosed area may alter the schedule for educational and remediation plans and may require the inspector to make additional visits to the business for these activities. This process is explained in the Policies and Procedures Manual. Be sure to review this process and contact OHA with questions if you need further clarification. Before conducting a site visit, it is important to determine which forms need to be used. Each form has a specific purpose and certain items to look for. OHA reviews all potential outdoor enclosed areas and determines whether these areas will be enforced as enclosed. Additional forms will be used to identify these areas. Consult the manual for guidance on outdoor enclosed areas. Form 1, Initial Site Visit and Remediation Plan. Form 1 should be used if this is the first time inspecting the business or if it has been at least 3 years from the previous actionable complaint. Form 2, Follow-up Visit. Form 2 should be used if there was a violation observed during the initial site visit and documented in Form 1 as a remediation plan. Form 3, Post-remediation plan visit. Form 3 should be used if the initial site visit, remediation, and follow-up visit has been completed and another complaint has been reported. Forms A, B, and C are used for the documentation, education, and enforcement process for potential outside enclosed areas. Consult the Policies and Procedure Manuals for details on this process. Site visits must be unannounced and must be completed within 30 days of the reported complaint. Filling out the business information in the appropriate form before going on site will save time. When arriving on site, ask to speak to a manager or owner and introduce yourself to the person in charge with your name, title, and reason you are there. Be sure to reference the Indoor Clean Air Act, the specific complaint, and how you are there to help them ensure that they are in compliance with the law. Do not disclose the name of the individual that filed the complaint. If the person in charge would like to know who filed the complaint, this information can be obtained by making a formal request to OHA. If the person in charge does not remember receiving an initial response letter or does not believe one was received, provide a copy to the employee. Be clear that you will need access to all portions of the business, regardless of the nature of the complaint, including areas not open to the public. If the person in charge is able, it is best if they are able to conduct the inspection alongside you so that if any violations are observed, they are able to be discussed right away. The site visit form is going to provide you with the best guidance of what to look for during your site visit. You may conduct the inspection in any order that you choose, but you must make sure that all items on the site visit form are addressed. While inside the premises and within 10 feet of all entrance, exit, accessibility ramps, window or air intake systems, look for any person smoking, vaporizing, aerosolizing, or carrying a lighted smoking instrument or inhalant delivery system, cigar or cigarette butts, ash receptacles or inhalant delivering system debris, absence or insufficient signs, or smoking instruments intended for use indoors, along with dining areas not clearly marked as non-smoking and non-vaping in outside areas. On the initial site visit, mark any violations in the left-hand column as yes and mark the corresponding remediation associated with that violation. If there is a potential outside enclosed area, mark that on the form, fill out Form A, and begin the process for documenting these types of areas. Remember, if there is a potential outside enclosed area, the process may change, requiring the different schedule for education and remediation plans for these types of areas. Explain to the person in charge that the business is allowed 14 days to comply with the remediation plan and follow-up inspection will occur. Sign and date all forms and have the person in charge do the same. Leave a copy of the form at the business, provide the person in charge your contact information, and thank them. If the person in charge does not cooperate in the development of the remediation plan or allow you access to inspect the premises, mark the appropriate box and inform the person in charge that you will be forwarding the case to OHA for enforcement action. Do not forget to enter the date of the inspection and any violations and remediation plans in WEMS. If you document a potential outside enclosed area, use the Report an Enclosed Area button in WEMS. Forward the potential outside enclosed area documentation to OHA and wait to insert the site visit in WEMS until OHA makes its determination. By completing the site visit date and findings in WEMS, the complaint case will either be moved into the follow-up site visit in your action items, or the case will be closed and removed from your action items. After the 14 days have passed for the business to complete the remediation plan and it's time for another site visit, the follow-up visit may take place between 15 and 45 days after the initial site visit. Take Form 2 and fill in the information gathered from Form 1 where appropriate. Once again, introduce yourself to the person in charge and explain why you are there and the findings and remediation plan from the last site visit. Conducting the follow-up visit is very similar to the initial site visit. Make sure the remediation plan has been correctly completed, follow the guidelines from Form 2, and mark any new violations. If the remediation plan has not been completed or new violations are found, forward the case to OHA. If all remedial activities have been completed, the business is now in compliance of the law. If you sent documentation of a potential outside enclosed area to OHA, use Form B and the enclosed area review form to communicate the findings to the business. If applicable, create a remediation plan for the enclosed area using Form B. If the remediation plan is created, inspectors must return to the business between 15 and 30 days after the plan is created to ensure that it has been completed. Use the process above to conduct the enclosed area follow-up visit. This visit is recorded on Form C. Update WEMS with the information from the follow-up site visit or visits. If no further violations were found, the case should now be closed and removed from your action items. If you are working with a business that has an enclosed area being enforced by OHA, work with your liaison to enter site visits and notes into WEMS. Inspectors should hold all case files and forms until all potential site visits are completed. That is, if an enclosed area is being enforced by OHA, hold all paperwork until that process is complete and forward OHA all citation documentation at one time. This may delay the process, but is important so that local public health authority and OHA maintain just one case file for each business. If additional complaints are registered at a business that has had a site visit and remediation plan within 3 years, an automatic site visit is warranted and Form 3 should be used. The site visit is conducted just like the other site visits, but any marked violations are forwarded to OHA for potential citations. Be sure to fully document any violations and take photos. Remember, accurate documentation of your findings is essential in order to support the case for issuing a citation to a business. Unclear, incorrect, or incomplete documentation does not support a strong case. Once you send a citation file to OHA, OHA will contact you to let you know if the violation you observed will be enforced. OHA will notify you of the outcome of enforcement action and let you know if you will need to testify at a hearing. Now we'll go through a few examples of violations that you may see when visiting an establishment. Having the ICAA statutes and rules with you while on-site visits will help ensure that you are working with OHA's authority. Also, remember that the intent of the law is to protect individuals from secondhand smoke in public and in the workplace. Outside enclosed areas can be difficult to assess. These are areas where people congregate to smoke, and sometimes these areas are enclosed and are not compliant with the ICAA. These areas are sometimes outside of bars and restaurants. They are also outside of apartment buildings, at bus stops, or can be part of the building entrance, hallway, or stairwell. Starting in early 2018, OHA began reviewing all potential outdoor enclosed areas. OHA will make a determination on whether the area will be enforced as enclosed. As an inspector, your role is to document the area as best as possible so that OHA can easily make a determination. This means taking photos of all sides of the area from the interior and from the exterior. Also, how the partitions attached to the structure is important to help OHA make a determination. Use your judgment, but err on the side of over-documentation. The site visit forms will guide you. Once OHA has made a determination, you will work with the business on a remediation plan if it is determined that this is an enclosed area, following the same steps as for other ICAA violations. You will use Forms A, B, and C to document the ICAA education and remediation process for these areas. All enclosed space is considered 3 or more sides with a ceiling. All public businesses must post no smoking, no vaping signs on all entrances and exits. These do not have to be the state or county signs, but must include no smoking, no vaping language. If these signs are missing, faded, blocked by something, or otherwise not easily to read, the business is not in compliance. If the business has extended the 10-foot designation or gone smoke-free, signs might indicate this designation. Remember, there is nothing in the ICAA that prevents businesses from extending the 10-foot designation or from becoming entirely tobacco or smoke-free. If appropriate, remind the business of this and ensure they understand that OHA enforces the state law, not organizational policies. Ash receptacles are not allowed anywhere inside the business or within 10 feet of all entrances, exits, accessibility ramps, windows that can be used for ventilation, or air intake systems. Sometimes ash receptacles don't look like traditional ashtrays and can be buckets or other receptacles. If receptacles are marked with language like butts, it is clear that this is an ash receptacle. If receptacles are filled with cigar and cigarette debris and are clearly not used for any other purpose, that may be considered an ash receptacle. If you see ash receptacles within 10 feet of these areas, the business is not in compliance. No person is allowed to smoke or vape indoors or within 10 feet of the entrances, exits, accessibility ramps, windows that can be used for ventilation, and air intake systems. If you see a person smoking or vaping indoors, the business is not in compliance. It is important to understand that the person in charge and the staff of the business often cannot post a person to chase away smoking individuals from the doors 24 hours a day, but they do need to feel comfortable addressing these individuals and providing them with information about the Indoor Clean Air Act. Normally, making sure ash receptacles are at least 10 feet away and clear, no smoking, no vaping signage posted will ensure smokers are not smoking too close to the business. You also need to feel comfortable and confident to address these individuals. Let them know who you are and how you are helping the business comply with the law and how they need to comply with the law as well. If for any reason you do not feel comfortable or safe doing this, do not approach the individual and just document on the form what you observed.